Hey guys, what's up? It's Samantha, and today I'm going to be memory keeping the week of March 7th through the 13th, and I'm using this older SPC kit that I believe has been reformatted since I purchased this, but it was a Disneyland Paris inspired kit, and I didn't want to do a white space spread with this because it had the old style little things. But I really love how this came out. I feel like I had so much fun putting this spread down in a way I haven't had fun planning in a really long time. And it's kind of making me think, I've done my last few spreads white space and it feels like fun and creative again. So maybe I need to try some different styles of decorative planning and play around with white space and doing some different stuff so it doesn't feel so formulaic every week, if that makes sense. But I had a blast doing this spread, like so much fun. I used the Lavender Hollow Park Hopper foil bundle, and then I pulled in some other Lavender Hollow items as well as a few just regular Hollow items like the Disney script that I put on the sidebar. And I also mixed and matched Hollow scripts from Randy Plans and then the Lavender Hollow scripts that were in the bundle. So yeah, I am just obsessed with how this turned out. So I'm really excited to share it with you guys. And I'm going to go ahead and jump into the two books I read this week. The first book that I read was Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Lynn Tan. And in this book, we follow Xingyin, who is the daughter of Chang'e, and basically, she has been sequestered on the moon with her mother her entire life, and nobody in the ruling celestial kingdom knows that she exists. And then her magic has kind of been locked away, and she accidentally accesses her magic, and people become alerted to her presence on the moon, and she has to run and escape. And she ends up being a servant for sort of like a family in the royal court, and through a series of events ends up becoming the companion to the crown prince of the Celestial Kingdom. And it sort of just follows her adventures as she trains and learns how to use her magic and learns military skill and becomes a proficient archer like her father was. If you're familiar with the story of Chang'e, her husband was an archer, and all of that plays into the story. I liked this book, but I didn't love it. This is kind of a crossover title that I believe it was published by an adult imprint, but it is specifically marketed as a YA to adult crossover title. And the beginning feels very, very YA, and then the end feels more adult. So I really struggled with the first half of this. It felt young. It felt very passively written. I felt like we were being told that the main character was doing certain things or learning certain things, but we weren't shown her learning those things. And so maybe she was training for months, but we would literally just get a sentence being like, she trained for months and then she was amazing at this thing. And so even though technically time passed, everything felt very instantaneous to me. And at times she kind of felt like that special snowflake kind of main character where she's the best at everything and she has the strongest powers and all of the boys love her, but she doesn't know she's beautiful. And it just kind of made me roll my eyes at times. I actually almost DNF'd this about 40% in, and I decided to push through a little bit longer, and then I ended up really liking the end. I feel like we finally get a little more characterization. We see the character go through some more struggles, and things aren't so instantaneously learned or fixed. The problems actually take a little bit more effort to solve. And I ended up really liking where it ends off, and it's going to be a duology, so there's going to be a second book, and I'm really intrigued to see where it's going. So I'm glad I didn't DNF this. Like, it's not a new favorite, but I'm really glad that I kept reading because I ended up really liking the end, and I'm excited for the sequel. So then the next book I read was actually a reread. It was The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne, and I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. I loved it when I read it last year, but man, rereading it, this book is so spectacular. The character work in this book is some of the best I've read ever, and I feel like I don't hear enough people talking about this book. It's such good stuff. It's just such good, high, epic fantasy. The sort of premise is there is this Norse-inspired world where the gods almost destroyed everything 300 years ago, and there was a huge battle between the gods, and almost all of the gods were killed or trapped. And there are sort of these whisperings and stirrings that kind of indicate that a group of people might be trying to awaken one of the trapped gods, trying to bring the gods and their powers back. There are individuals who are descendants of the gods who are human, but they have powers that are derived from whoever their ancestral god was. And these people are persecuted, they are often enslaved, and are not treated very well because humans are so distrustful of anything that has to do with the gods. So we follow 3 points of view. One is Orca, who is a retired warrior living on a farm with her husband and her young son. We follow Elvar, who is a young woman who has joined a clan of warriors, and she's trying to find battle fame and sort of running from her past and what her family wanted her to do. And then we follow Varg, who is an escaped slave who has joined in with a different group of warriors than Elvar, but a group of warriors because he's trying to get the witch who works for this group of warriors to perform a ritual so he can find out who killed his sister. He knows his sister is dead, but he doesn't know how she died or who killed her, and he wants to get vengeance. He wants to get justice for his sister's death. So you get these 3 very personal stories that all, they're just really intense characterizations. There's a lot, especially in Orca's chapters. Orca is very driven by being a mother. The way motherhood is portrayed in the series is just something that's so unique to epic high fantasy. You just don't see motherhood talked about very much, and Orca is one of my favorite characters of all time. Just such beautiful, wonderful character work in the midst of these sort of huge, epic, world-changing gods awakening. And then we get these really intimate stories, and all of these people tie into the bigger story at play. And all 3 of these stories, they seem very separate at the beginning. And then by the end, they all come together in just such a satisfying and explosive way. And seeing the connections between all these storylines is just so satisfying. And I love this book so much. I just can't say enough good things about it. But I'm going to cut my rave short here because I am just about done with this spread. I realized as I was getting ready to film the last bit that I forgot to put the deco bits on. So added those in right there at the end, but I love how this turned out. I love everything about it. I love the foil. I love the colors. I love the white space. This was so much fun to put together, and I'm really excited to kind of keep playing around with my planning style, trying some new things, trying some more white space planning, and sort of rediscovering what I want my planning to look like and doing something maybe a little different. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I will talk to you in my next one. Bye, guys.